Hello and welcome to my video for painting interiors on die-cast cars, and it's only a short one just to give a few painting tips. It's only basics and a few tips in it, and people can build on it themselves. Thinking about it, it's just a couple of colours, no real heavy detail. Anyway, before we start, just a quick reminder of the Beefeaters builder, the Invitational for the Freeman Intercity Commuter by Matchbox, and it's due in if you're building or if you're interested in building. The videos to be posted on the 28th of February 2021, and if you could let one of the Beefeaters have images before then. Anyway, here's the first tip. What you need here, it can be a bottle, a piece of wood, anything. Just stick a bit of blue tack to the top, then stick your interior to it, and it gives you a handle for painting, so you don't have to touch the interior, and you can move it around easier for painting. Just a cheap tip. And here I also have eye magnifiers, although I didn't really use them here because doing it on camera. If I were doing it really detailed effect, I'd sit down with me magnifiers on and take my time, get an utmost great view, and they are well worth investing in a pair. If you haven't got them, they give many varied strengths of lenses on them. I'm just faffing here now, I could have done with cutting this bit out. But anyway, I digress. We're keeping going. I'm just showing bits and pieces that help out. And here we have a wet palette. Made me own. You can buy wet palettes, but I wouldn't advise it. They cost a fortune. And you can make your own minimal by getting a bit of a Tupperware dish, a kitchen sponge, and that's just baking paper. Whatever you do, don't get grease-proof paper. It has to be baking powder paper, because grease-proof paper won't allow the water molecules through as much. Because the aim is grease-proof paper and shield it from water. This just lets it seep through. And the aim is to keep your acrylic paints damp and stop them from drying out. So you can just put a little bit of your acrylic paint on and use it for as long as you need to. It'll actually keep your acrylics wet for days in there. Yeah, keeps them usable for longer. And next up, you need a little bit of tissue paper, or a rag. Can be a tissue or a rag, doesn't really matter which. You can use either or. One's as good as the other, it's just for wiping brushes, etc. jittered the camera around there. And here we have some Abaddon Black, which will be the first colour, giving it a shake. Shake them all before use, really. Any paint you're using. Yeah, what we do, just take a small blob out of your paint, place it on your wet palette, and you're ready to start off painting. Just move your paper or your tissue over till needed and drag your interior over. And just get the paint to the consistency you want for painting. You should always really thin paints when you're painting. Surfaces should be primed so you have the paint over already. This one I used a red primer because I was going to do the seats red. So most of the colour were already on there what I wanted it. But yeah, before you paint, I advise priming. Then you can use your actual paint proper for all the effects. I'd say Citadel paints, but it's any paint. The Vallejo does it. You can get all the same effects off the Vallejo or Army Painter range, and as long as they're acrylics you get all the same effects. And there I'm just using black for the dash, carpets and steering wheel. And once the black is done, I've actually primed it in a dark brick red. So now what I'm going to be doing in effect, take some of the red off the brush. And what I'm doing, I'm not using a dry brush, but I'm being gentle with a normal brush. Really, you should use a dry brush. But what I'm doing is just brushing over the tops, so I leave the recesses in it, the darker red. So in effect what you're trying to simulate is actually lights hitting surfaces. It'd hit the upper surfaces and you'd have lower areas in shadow. So what you're really simulating on it isn't particularly the colour, it's how the light interacts with it that hits it. Areas of colour and shadow there. I touched some black that wasn't dry, I should have given it drying time, but I carried on. I got round it. And here again what you do, to further it up, do another layer of it. Mix a bit of white in and make it a bubblegumish pink. And then go over again, over the tops, a little bit lighter. And a little bit less, just so it's like light hitting the top parts. And it's just, as I say, it's like what you're aiming for is where light's hitting it and shadows, and you play the interactions of them together. And next, I think what we do now, what I'm doing here, yeah, I've got the detail brush and I've mixed it down, put even more white in to give an even lighter pink. And what you do with this is just edge highlight to give the very top edge lighting on it, the very top edge highlights. And you can put it round edges and everything like that, the edge of the armrest, edge of the seats. It has two effects. It looks like lights hitting there, and it defines shape and contours. It brings out definition in the actual moulding. You don't have to go mad, you don't have to do every single one. Just doing areas so it just describes it. It's quite a good method for just giving that extra eye interest to it. And here, I'm just touching in some black. So, as I say, because you've got a wet palette, and you're moving around, you're not constantly going for paint pots. You've got your colours ready mixed and they stop there wet. So you can go backwards and forwards and into them and work them. Here I'm mixing a grey out of the white to do highlights on the dash and steering wheel. As I say, on the dash it'd be a lightish grey colour, because it's like the highlights of the sun hitting the black and bleaching it out. And there we go, I'm just going over the top of the steering wheel. And here we're coming in. What were we doing? Ah, that's it. I added some silver, and here we just pick out the odd details with the silver, like the home button, and I picked on them on the sides, like storage pockets or whatever. Anyway, here it's more or less painted how I want it. So now, to make it tie in better together and pull all the stuff together, even though it looks good as it is, it just gives it a final dimension, and I give it a wash. I think this is Agrax Earth shade. It's just a warmish colour to drag the colours together. There we're going on racings. Anyway, if you've enjoyed, please subscribe. I do notice I get far in excess viewing than actually subscribe to me, and it's a regular thing, so I really would appreciate it if you press to subscribe. And to all my old subscribers, thank you very much. And yeah, we're just looking at where it's too heavy now. I just wick out the extra bits that aren't needed to be in. And here I'm just topping up the grey again on the dash. But anyway, thank you for watching, and goodbye.